Good evening. I am Kamini Sani, the director of the Museum of Art and Photography, or MAP, and I am delighted to welcome you to the opening of our digital museum, where I am now, and where you are able to join me through the magic of technology. Given the strange times we now live in, we can't all be here together in person. Yet one road blocked can only reveal another road open. With the physical museum yet to complete and the world moving online at breakneck speed, we at MAP decided to create a sensorial experience of a different kind. Today you will hear some of the finest voices in our country. See a first glimpse of the museum that is to come very soon, and witness how art can take any shape and form. How art is indeed life itself. First things first. I hope you have just put on your headphones. Done? Now in your left ear, you can hear Bangalore gradually coming back to life. Slow-moving traffic. A city that breathed gently for a while during lockdown, now working its way back to a constant restlessness. Now in your right ear, you can hear birds of every kind as they settle down at dusk in the rain tree next door. It is quite special in Bangalore to be able to walk only a few steps and find yourself in a moment of calm. In many ways, just the way one feels in a museum, where art from all corners and of all kinds have the power to invoke both a sense of calm and restlessness within you at the same time. Now that we have you good and ready, I welcome you to MAP, a space for ideas and conversations that explore art and life itself. And as the fire is lit, we now officially embark on a new journey with the curiosity of a flame, its guiding light, and its relentless warmth. I will now leave you to the voices and thoughts of a few incredible minds who will take you through the rest of this evening.
This flame represents what was once a germ of an idea that has become a reality, a virtual reality, at least for another 6 months. Art is so very integral to human society and culture, an emotional experience that helps uplifts our spirits. It has been inspiring to see art institutions across the world challenging the current circumstances so creatively, finding new ways to survive, respond, and redesign purpose. While MAP started as a dream of one person, it soon became a large collaborative movement with global experts and supporters who have helped raise our own ambitions and redefine the boundaries of the museum beyond the four walls of a physical one. In spite of all the limitations, this period has been very defining for MAP. We have been overwhelmed with the support and help we have received. We are truly grateful. While many museums across the world are adapting their physical spaces to the new reality, we have decided to view the current moment as an opportunity to do things differently. The last many months of disruptions gave us an opportunity to rethink, redesign, and reshape our vision. While the physical museum is progressing parallelly, the digital museum is a unique moment for technology to take on a key role in making culture accessible. The online museum will reach out to new audiences beyond Bangalore and engage its viewers in digital speak. I am delighted that the tech capital of India, Bangalore, provides the perfect platform for MAP to take the lead. Our ambitions are high and we have a long journey ahead. The task has just begun. We are thankful to many of you for believing in us, supporting, and guiding us in multiple ways. We still need more help and hope to have your continued support. The very committed and passionate team at MAP have put together an amazing program over the next 6 days. Do participate, enjoy, and encourage us in this mission. Many thanks for being here. After all, this work put in by so many people is most satisfying moment to find ourselves once again right at the start.
Long ago, in this ancient land, this subcontinent of India that we occupy, thrived a highly developed civilization, one that was samruddha, prosperous in all aspects. The great minds of this time who composed the Puranas, perhaps between CE 300 and 1000, were like their contemporaries in the Mayan culture or other developed civilizations of the time, engaged in unraveling the mysteries of time, Kala in Sanskrit, of unraveling man's relation to time and the earth and the universe, to creation and destruction, to existence and non-existence. Time is what is left when all else has gone. How can anyone capture the majesty and quintessence of ever-moving time? One of the most fascinating measures of time belong to the Puranic period. In the Puranic period, time was calculated in the following manner. Time taken to pierce a leaf, just a tak, was alpakala, the smallest measure of time. How many alpakalas to a deep breath, inhaling, and how many for an exhale? And how many for the two together? A deep sigh, further linking the breath to the piercing of the leaf and the sun, calculating how many breaths from sunrise to noon, from noon to sunset, from sunset to dawn. The day having been accounted for, the count goes further to connect to the moon and calculate fortnights and months and the year for a man, and go all the way to 300 man years, making one divine year. 4,800 divine years, Divya Varshas, make one Krita Yuga. 3,600 divine years make one Treta Yuga. 2,400 divine years make one Dwapara Yuga. And 1,200 divine years make one Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is what we all are living in right now. And you can see that the numbers are in a descending order. More divine years make the Krita Yuga and lesser make the Kali Yuga. 12,000 Divya Varshas, divine years, make one Chatur Yuga. 71 Chatur Yugas make one Manavantara. And 14 Manavantaras are equal to one Pralaya, a Kalpa. Pralaya is equated to the day of destruction. One Pralaya is equal to one day of Brahma. Of Brahma opening and shutting his eyes just once. All that is known and unknown held in the blink of the eyes of creation.
I get on to a theme about which I know nothing. It's not every day that one gets an opportunity to speak on a subject about which one really knows nothing. But I'm in good company. Nobody knows anything about the thing I'm going to talk about. Waqt, samay, kaal. When you think of time, all kinds of thoughts start floating through your mind. But one thing is clear. As we sit here and talk about or speculate about what time is or how it enters the visual arts, we have to remember that it's a very subtle area, extremely subtle. Constantly in our text, we are being told that it is completely incomprehensible. We should, in our own tradition, we do in our own tradition, differentiate between Kal and Samay. Kal is infinite. Kal is incomprehensible. Samay is limited. This is a good Samay, this is Samay for this and so on. We understand that. But Kal has dimensions which the human mind seems to be incapable of comprehending. What are the names we have for our greatest of our gods? Let's say, take Shiva. How is Shiva referred to? Kala, Mahakala, Kalari, Kalabhaksha. He's the eater of time. He's the enemy of time. So is Shiva. What is it that we are talking about? Talking about the incomprehensibility of it all. There is a famous line in Kalidas and who says, "Nasanti yathartha vidaha pinakinaha." There are no people, no one understands the truth about Pinakina. Pinak being the bow that Shiva wears, holds. So similarly, in the context of Shiva, in the context of time, we can say clearly, Nasanti yatharth vida kala. There's no one here, absolutely no one, who understands what it is all about. And I quote my most favorite verse from Mir Taqi Mir, Le saans bhi aista, ke nazuk hai bahut kaam, आफाक की इस कारगहे शीशा गरी का. Breathe gently here and soft, because the world that has been put together by the powers on high is brittle like thin glass, and it may crack at any point of time. The subtlety of it, the fragility of it, in a certain sense, incomprehensibility of it is something which remains, on the one hand, an inspiration, on the other hand, a challenge.
When you enter a museum, you see objects. You see paintings, you see statues, you see fabric, you see artifacts. And then you realize these objects are located in time. Some of them are 50 years old, some 100, some 200, some 1,000. So walking into a museum is actually walking into a time capsule. And there we find things created in different periods of history. And located in these objects is a timestamp of a context. When were these statues made? When were they carved? When were they painted? Who made them? When did he make them? Under what influence? Museums capture frozen moments of our history. It allows us to see time, and in many ways, it defies the erosion of time. For in these objects, we see how art combats time. And therefore, perhaps in India, art is called Kala, and time is called Kal. Kala stops time. Kala stops Kal. Time makes us realize that we can be Brahma, the creator. We can create things and cling to it. Or we can be Shiva. Let it go like an ascetic. Let it wither away with time. Don't try to conserve it. Let it pass and move on. Or like Vishnu, realize the value of preserving things, of keeping it alive, so that the past can inform the present and shape the future. For when we see objects of the past, we realize how different they were from us and how similar they are from us. We find cultural differences and emotional resonances. And that's what art does to us. Connects us with our forefathers, with our ancestors, with time and space that has gone, and makes us a better person today.
As you entered this auditorium, you must have noticed my name. But this auditorium is not mine, it's ours. Many minds worked to create this museum. But this museum does not belong to them. It belongs to all of us. The art that you see displayed on the walls of this museum is for all of us and all of you to consume and appreciate, no matter where you come from, no matter what interests you. This is what museums are all about. So, can I inspire you to belong to this museum, belong to this auditorium, and name a seat? Because by sponsoring a seat, you will contribute to making this museum a much bigger space. Museums are the guardians of our past, our present, and our future. And yet, very often, we don't make museums a part of our everyday lives. But let me reach out to you and tell you how important it is to embrace the concept of museums and to make sure that we make it a part of our lives. Whether you visit museums digitally or in the real world, I really believe that we must make museums a very special space for our minds to explore and appreciate. This is a path-breaking journey for MAP as we try to inspire and encourage young minds and old minds to be curious and to really discover many aspects of our culture, our heritage, and our history. And I would really call upon all of you to join this journey with all of us. I do believe that museums are meant to last. So join us in this journey, this lasting journey, by being a part of MAP and by contributing to this transformational impact that we can have on people who come and visit us out of curiosity and out of interest. Museums are repositories of evidence. Evidence that events happened, evidence that human expression is everlasting, and evidence that we have a rich heritage. Museums remind us of how we have inherited a rich culture left behind by our forefathers. I therefore proudly present a great artist, Malvika Sarukai.
The great wheel of cosmic time turns ceaselessly through Sarga, creation, and Pralaya, dissolution. Stars are born and die, planets form and disappear, black holes devour entire universes. The cosmic world is in the rite of motion. In cyclical rhythms, centuries turn one over the other. Caught within, the human mind grapples with the idea of time. Greek, Indian, Arabian, European, Egyptian. As civilizations overlap, languages are born. Scripts come into being with the passage of time, marking life on planet Earth. And so it is that we turn to Krishna, who through his incarnations keeps in motion Mahakal, the great wheel of cosmic time. Set against the great wheel of cosmic time is the smaller wheel of human time, of the relentless cycle of birth and death. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna reveals his divine self to Arjuna, the quintessential warrior, now made vulnerable by his existential crises, as he faces his enemies, his cousins, arranged against him. Listening to Krishna, Arjuna realizes the profound truth that the finality of death is certain in this lifetime. On that outcome, he has no choice. But in this lifetime, between birth and death, the choice given to him is the possibility of transformation. To transform himself, the warrior, to become the right actor who will then take right action. With sunrise and sunset, the cycle of human time turns ceaselessly.
जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युः ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च 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 जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युः ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च
Art is freedom, freedom of thought, ideas, and expressions. But how do we know which art is good or bad or ugly? When we look at a painting, listen to a song, or watch a performance or a film, we form an opinion about it, often instantly. We judge it, criticize it, or shower it with praise. We think we are being objective, but in fact, we are only reflecting our own experiences and exposures, our biases and social conditioning that shape our individual responses. The works that survive and become great masterpieces are the ones that have stood the test of time. That is why, universally, through decades and centuries, the likes of Michelangelo or Nandalal Bose are considered great painters, Shakespeare or Tolstoy great writers, Bach or Beethoven great composers, and Kabir or Tagore great poets. There must have been many other artists, composers, writers in their times who we haven't even heard of because history chose to not chronicle them. Time is the ultimate judge, and only its verdict counts. I was fortunate to share the story of one such artist, Sadat Hassan Manto, a prolific and maverick Urdu writer of the 40s. Close to 80 years later, his writings continue to resonate deeply. What I needed to recreate in the film was his context. The onslaught of modern day clutter has chained the cities of Bombay and Lahore. Today, air conditions and window grills disfigure the facade of many buildings. Satellite dishes and hoardings ruin the skylines, and roads and roadsides are packed with modern vehicles. How do I take the audience back in time when the architecture told a different story? When the city had space to breathe and cars looked like they were crafted by human beings and not assembled by machines? How do I make Mumbai Bombay again? And where would I find Lahore in India, as the politics of the two countries prevented me from capturing the real city? I, along with my team, recreated those times with the help of intensive research, found tucked away locations, added props of that era, and meticulously removed the unnecessary clutter in post-production. Together, we created a world where the story could unfold and characters could come alive. Having taken the audiences to that time, I wanted them to see how identity politics still divides us. Violence still leaves its lingering impact, and censorship still threatens art. What overwhelmed me was that people clearly saw the parallels. But above all, I wanted to give hope that art continues to reflect reality and influence our personal and collective consciousness. True art will always transcend time and space, but it needs an engaged audience for it to thrive. There is a sense of mutualism. We have inherited great art because there was a discerning audience or a passionate patron who kept it alive for us. The respect and love we show to art is what makes it timeless, so it can travel to the next generation. And this is exactly what MAP is doing. It is an inclusive space that celebrates the arts, where a range of creative practices are recognized, valued, and shared. Let us hope that MAP's mission to inspire people to interact with art in ways that encourage humanity, empathy, and a deeper understanding of the world we live in will also stand the test of time.
I'm really happy to share a work of mine tonight titled Continuum, where the image of a meal in the form of a roti morphs with that of the moon, such that progressively eaten rotis eventually within the work begin to evoke a lunar cycle. The central moon in the work corresponds to the night of an individual's birth date. So each continuum is a different artwork linked to the night of a person's birth. The next moon corresponds to the night following their birth, and so on until 29 nights later, that moon corresponds to the night prior to their birth, thus closing some kind of a larger celestial cycle within a consumption cycle. And I also feel at the heart of this work are these questions of time, recurrence, fullness, emptiness, abundance and dearth, all kind of intermingled into a single reflective image.
तो क्या ये मुमकिन है सारी सदियां कतार अंदर कतार अपनी जगह खड़ी हों, ये वक्त साकित हो और हम ही गुजर रहे हों?
So can it be that all our centuries, row upon row, are standing still? Can it be that time is fixed and we alone are in motion?
वक्त,
Time.
ये वक्त क्या है? ये क्या है आखिर कि जो मुसलसल गुजर रहा है? ये जब न गुजरा था तब कहाँ था? कहीं तो होगा। गुजर गया है तो अब कहाँ है? कहीं तो होगा। कहाँ से आया, किधर गया है? ये कब से कब तक का सिलसिला है? ये वक्त क्या है?
What is time? What is this thing that goes on without pause? If it did not pass, then where could it have been? It must have been somewhere. It has passed. So where is it now? It must be somewhere. Where did it come from? Where did it go? Where did the process begin? Where will it end? What is time?
ये वाक़े, हादसे, तसादुम, हर एक गम और हर एक मसरत, हर एक कज़ियत, हर एक लज्जत, हर एक तबस्सुम, हर एक आंसू, हर एक नगमा, हर एक खुशबू, वो ज़ख्म का दर्द हो कि वो लम्स का हो जादू, खुद अपनी आवाज़ हो कि माहौल की सदाएं, ये जहन में बनती और बिगड़ती हुई फ़ज़ाएं, वो फिक्र में आए ज़लज़ले हों कि दिल की हलचल, तमाम एहसास, सारे जज्बे, ये जैसे पत्ते हैं बहते पानी की सतह पर जैसे तैरते हैं, अभी यहाँ हैं, अभी वहाँ हैं और अब है ओझल। दिखाई देता नहीं है लेकिन ये कुछ तो है जो कि बह रहा है। ये कैसा दरिया है, किन पहाड़ों से आ रहा है, ये किस समंदर को जा रहा है? ये वक्त क्या है?
These events, incidents, conflicts, every grief, every joy, every torment, every pleasure, every smile, every tear, every song, every scent. It may be the pain of a wound or the magic of a tender touch. One lonely voice or the sounds around. Successes and failures assailing the mind. The upheavals of care, the tumult of the heart. All feelings, all emotions are like leaves floating on the surface of the water as they swim along. Now here, now there, and now they disappear. Though unseen, there must be something flowing along. What is this river? Which hills has it come from? Which sea is it going to? What is time?
कभी कभी मैं ये सोचता हूँ कि चलती गाड़ी से पेड़ देखो तो ऐसा लगता है दूसरी समझ जा रहे हैं। कभी कभी मैं ये सोचता हूँ कि चलती गाड़ी से पेड़ देखो तो ऐसा लगता है दूसरी समझ जा रहे हैं, मगर हकीकत में पेड़ अपनी जगह खड़े हैं। तो क्या ये मुमकिन है सारी सदियां कतार अंदर कतार अपनी जगह खड़ी हों, ये वक्त साकित हो और हम ही गुजर रहे हों? इस एक लम्हे में सारे लम्हे तमाम सदियां छुपी हुई हों, न कोई आइंदा न गुज़िश्ता। जो हो चुका है वो हो रहा है, जो होने वाला है हो रहा है। मैं सोचता हूँ कि क्या ये मुमकिन है सच हो के सफ़र में हम हैं, गुज़रते हम हैं, जिसे समझते हम गुज़रता है वो थमा है, गुज़रता है या थमा हुआ है, इकाई है या बटा हुआ है मुंजमद या पिघल रहा है। किसे खबर है, किसे पता है ये वक्त क्या है?
Sometimes I think when I see trees from a moving train, it seems they're going in the opposite way. But in reality, the trees are standing still. So can it be that all our centuries, row upon row, are standing still? Can it be that time is fixed and we alone are in motion? Can it be that in this one moment, all moments, all centuries are hidden? No future, no past. What has gone by is happening now.
What will come about is happening now. I wonder, is it possible that the truth is that we are in motion? We pass by? And what we imagine is moving is really motionless. Moving, not moving. Whole or divided? Is it frozen? Or is it melting? Who knows? Who can guess? What is time?
I've always been struck how there are certain moments in Indian history when everything seems to happen, these key moments, when it's as if sort of civilization moves up a notch. It's fascinating researching this to see how much happens at a single moment. In particular, the year 664 seems to be an incredibly crucial moment in time for Indian civilization, when everything is happening simultaneously. In 664, for example, it's the year that the Chinese empress, the only empress in Chinese history to rule on her own right, the Empress Wu, moves China towards being a Buddhist state. She does this because as a woman, the Confucians will not allow her full power, but Buddhism does allow a female ruler and has far greater equality and far more empowerment for women. And this is a moment that Buddhism is moving out of India. Then the religion spreads down the Silk Road to Chang'an, modern Xi'an, the center of Chinese civilization. And it's there in 664 that the Empress Wu performs ceremonies to make this Indian religion the religion of the Chinese court.
在今天，宫廷上下开始奉行佛教。
And at the same time, bizarrely, the poet Dandan, Dandan is sitting in the Pallava court in Kanchipuram, and he goes out to visit Mahabalipuram, where the Arjuna's penance, the great sequence of images on that hill, which originally looked onto the harbor, the Pallava's great harbor, was being sculpted. And he describes in his work visiting the shore temples and admiring the sculptures and their sophistication. And in due course, these ships from Pallava, Mahabalipuram, will sail to the lands of gold, Savanabhumi, to Southeast Asia. And they'll bring with them Pallava sculpture, ideas of Indic civilization, the epics, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and turn Southeast Asia into an Indic civilization, where previously 100 languages were spoken of a whole variety of different language schools. Sanskrit becomes across the whole region, all the way from Kandahar down to Java, the language of government. And this again is this extraordinary moment, 664. At the same time, in Central Asia, in bulk, in the same year, 664, the armies of Islam have reached Afghanistan. And at the same moment, in the sense that this is the peak of Indic influence, you have Islam reaching the region for the first time. Now, this may seem something which will threaten Indic civilization in many ways, but it's also an opportunity for Indic civilization to spread westwards. And what happens is you have the Barmakids, who are the hereditary abbots of Balkh. They convert to Islam. They are literate in Sanskrit. One of the Barmakids was educated in Srinagar in Kashmir. And the elder son is taken as a hostage to the center of the Arab Umayyad world in Rasafa, now in the back end of Syria. And there he makes friends with the future Abbasid Caliph. And the Barmakids and the Abbasids become allies. 4 generations of Barmakids become the viziers of the Arab Empire, and they bring to the Arab world Indian mathematics, the work of Brahmagupta, the extraordinary Indian advances in science and mathematics, which is why what the West knows as Arabic numbers are, of course, originally Indian numbers. So here you have just one example of how a single moment in time can affect art and civilization and culture.
Through the course of the evening, we have been enthralled by artists and their interpretation of time. We have been told in more ways than one that whilst time is elusive and incomprehensible, art somehow rises beyond and even transcends it. It is in the heart of this thought that MAP finds its true place. As you have walked with us and have had a glimpse of a space in the making, home to precious art, doorways to all kinds of thought, and windows to questions and answers, we hope that these reflections are shared not by only a few of us, but by anyone and everyone. We are convinced that anyone who stands in these corridors can not only be transported back and forth in time, but can also find themselves within the voices of the artists who have carefully cultivated our collective identities as a people for 1,000 years and more. I want to thank everyone who has helped us to create so many possibilities, which have all led to this day, and I hope to see many more of us come together to support this space and all that it represents. Ours is the course of the long-distance runner, an institution that embraces the arts, but above all, one that endures and sustains. I'm delighted that what started as a lonely journey has transformed into a collective effort, and I hope you will remain with us through all the twists and turns that lie ahead. I could go on about all the exciting things in store at MAP, but that is for another time. Instead, I leave you with some last reflections from yet another beautiful voice. In this song, composed specially for MAP by Kavita Seth, where she sings about moments in time, lamhe.
उम्र के बेशुमार लम्हे हैं और इन बेशुमार लम्हों में कोई भी एक ऐसा लम्हा नहीं जो किसी और लम्हे जैसा हो। आस के लम्हे, यास के लम्हे, तश्नगी और प्यास के लम्हे, दर्द के लम्हे, प्यार के लम्हे और तवील इंतजार के लम्हे। और इन बेशुमार लम्हों में चंद ऐसे महकते लम्हे हैं जो मेरी तीर आस के लम्हे आस के लम्हे तशनगी और प्यास के लम्हे दर्द के लम्हे प्यार के लम्हे और तवील इंतजार के लम्हे और इन बेशुमार लम्हों में चंद ऐसे महकते लम्हे हैं जो मेरी तीरगी में जुगनू है जिंदगी की तवील राहों में जो मेरे साथ साथ चलते हैं दिल की गहराइयों में रहते हैं मेरे ख्वाबों के साथ पलते हैं
I'm delighted to welcome you to Art is Life,
which is a chance to tour one of India's first ever digital museums.
This is a historic moment for MAP as it connects
to audiences in the digital space even before it opens its doors to the public next year.
But it also is the first one in the digital space in this country and perhaps one of the first ones in the rest of the world.
Art is often seen as exclusive and elitist, but I think MAP's vision seeks to reverse and correct and break this perception.
Art helps us see the soul of people, take a glimpse of how to look at art differently.
This is MAP's tribute to the incredible art of storytelling through some highlights from the museum's indigenous art collection.
A museum opens its doors to everyone. It doesn't know any discrimination. It invites you in, it welcomes you.
Collaboration is at the heart of how we would like to do things at MAP. And we hope all of you will complete that circle of collaboration by engaging with MAP to discover and enjoy our collections.
This now is your opportunity to tour that collection digitally for the first time. Don't hesitate to seize the chance.